right. Welcome to the show, guys. I have Dennis and Paul here with me today. We're starting a new roundtable. So you will see these guys again in the future at some point. But this is my official launching of the roundtable. I had Billy Dees and Sarah on previously, and I just decided I wanted to make it a regular thing and kind of mix and match people that I like working with to talk about current political events. So welcome to the show, guys. Paul, do you want to start off letting the audience know a little bit about yourself and where to find you?
Sure. Great to be back. Thank you so much for bringing me back to the Shades of Jade, Sam. I really appreciate it. I'm a retired Army officer and been retired for 10 years now. I worked in the nuclear weapons complex for several years after that, and I am currently quasi-retired. I host the War 102 podcast, which is more of a doctrinal deep dive into the strategic level of warfare primarily, although we talk a little bit of tactics, operations, and policy, which melds in nicely here. I'm the author of Taliban Safari, which is about Afghanistan, published from the University Press of Kansas. And I am a real plastic hero. So go check that out. Toy soldiers that were modeled after 8 veterans of the global war on terror, all made in America, which was kind of we had to reclaim that technology. Injection molding for plastic soldiers was completely conquered by China. So the founder of the company had to recreate that capability. And some of the profits, not all, go to various causes as the veterans got to choose theirs, and mine was a veteran and family member suicide. So that's me. Thanks for having me back.
All right. How about you, Dennis?
Sure. I'm Dennis A. Brennan. I'm an attorney most of the time, but I've also begun a new career podcasting and writing books. First book has been out about a year, and it's a book about Donald Trump and Aaron Burr. It's called DC Swamp Strikes Back, Aaron Burr, Donald Trump, and their similar battles. I have a second book that's going to be released in September. We should be announcing that any day now, and hopefully many more on the way. I'm also doing a podcast kind of irregularly called Dennis A. Brennan and Company, and that has been mostly going out on my own pages, and I can be found on DennisABrennan.com for other content.
Sounds good. Perfect. And yeah, you both have been on the show before. I should have gotten your episode titles, but if you just search in your podcast library for their names, it'll pop right up if you want to listen to their previous episodes. Okay, so first topic for today. Let's go with the national debt. It's exceeded 40 trillion. Paul, I know you had some thoughts on this. I'll admit there are certain topics where I'm kind of like, I black hole them because I'm like, I don't even know what to do about this. It worries me. And so I don't keep up on it as much, but I did see that it exceeded 40 trillion. So 40 trillion or 4 trillion?
40.
Yeah. Oh, geez. Okay.
2 trillion.
That's right.
It's 2 trillion every year right now.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I remember people throwing a fit when it was at like 8. Yeah. So I should have known 40 trillion because when Obama was in office, I think it was 8 trillion and people were throwing a fit. So, all right. Tell me your thoughts.
Well, since I was a kid, we've heard that the debt's going to kill us. And, we went off the gold standard in 1971. Everyone blames Nixon. It was out of Nixon's hands, quite frankly. If you know the story, the French sailed into New York Harbor with a battleship with all their dollars and said, we want our gold. Because while Americans could not own gold because of FDR and his fascist, if I'm going to be generous, policy, you couldn't own gold since, I think it was 1934 when Nixon seized all the privately owned gold, changed the official exchange rate from $20.60 to $35. So while U.S. gold had a nominal value of $35 from 1934 until Nixon took us off the gold standard, you couldn't do anything with that. You couldn't take $70 of gold or $70 and buy 2 ounces of gold. It was forbidden for you to own it. But foreign governments could. And when we passed the Great Society legislation, the Europeans knew where this was going to end. Once the United States government bought off on, oh, we're going to pay for medical, we're going to do all this expansion, we're going to do HUD. The Great Society wasn't just Medicare and Medicaid; it was all sorts of welfare programs. This is unsustainable. Our dollars are going to have to be inflated in order to afford this. Therefore, we need to exchange our soon-to-be inflated dollars for gold. The French sailed up and said, "Give us all our gold now." Nixon had no choice but to take us off the gold standard. So I don't blame Nixon. He was forced into that action. But since that time, obviously, we now incur a debt because we can print as many dollars as we want, and no one even has to buy the bonds. That's with quantitative easing. And this is where I get confused, is that we have treasury bonds that are bought by the Fed, and the Fed owns all our treasury bonds, and the interest on our treasury bonds are being paid to the Fed. It's very confusing to me because the interest rates are like 800 billion a year, I think is what we're paying in interest. But since the Fed owns over 60% of our bonds, we're paying the interest. That money's going to the Fed. It's not going to a federal government or a foreign government or anything. So for that part, it's very confusing. But there was always this hope that we could inflate our way out gently, 7%. Okay, that's fine. Or that we could grow our way out. But now our deficit spending is almost 25% of the federal budget. It's impossible. And so I don't know what the answer is. The only thing I can say is we might be the healthiest horse in the glue factory when it comes to major international currencies. We have no idea what the foundation is behind the yuan. The yen continues to die along with the country. There's no future in Japan because there's no future Japanese. And I think the euro is suffering in the same regard. And, you have what they used to call the pigs dragging down the euro. And as long as the dollar buys food, we're okay. And right now, the federal government uses deficit spending to bribe the states to do their will with the promise of deficit dollars. But when those dollars are no longer of value, I could see the crumbling of the current highly centralized federalist government that we're dealing with. If the federal government can't bribe the states to do what the states don't want to do, but are being forced to do, I don't know how that ends. And I don't know when, because since 1976, I've heard the deficit's going to destroy us. We're going to hit hyperinflation. The country's going to fall.
Right.
Well, we're 50 years later. None of that has happened. And modern monetary policy states that as long as there's a demand for money, the money will have value. And you create demand by demanding, pardon the expression, that taxes are paid in your currency. So the whole thing builds upon this premise. But then when you get into the petrodollar and the reserve currency, I think the modern monetary policy kind of falls apart. But we're 40 trillion in debt and we're doing okay. So for all the doom and gloom, there's no evidence that this is actually falling apart. And Dennis, I suspect that you actually are far more knowledgeable on the subject than I am. But I'm kind of stuck in that by every aspect of common sense and von Mises and Hayek, the wheels should have come off years ago, decades ago, and yet they haven't. So are the Keynesians right? It's Paul Krugman right for once in his little diminutive life?
Perhaps. It's funny because when I was younger, I had an economics professor who said, "Don't worry about it. It doesn't matter." And my thought was, it does matter. It has to matter, because if you're in your own household and let's say you make 100,000 and you spend 120,000 every year, eventually you will go bankrupt. There's no way around it, right? So how does the government get away with it except having these IOUs out there where they're constantly paying? But as you said, we're $2 trillion every year we're falling behind. How do you ever get out of this 40 trillion, or who knows what it'll be? If it's gone from 8 trillion to 40 trillion, is it going to get to 50? There's got to be a breaking point somewhere along the line where we can't make those interest payments.
But here's where I get confused. If the Fed owns the debt, well, that's the mystery, is the debt is being bought by the Fed. All this is being covered by bonds sold to the Fed through quantitative easing.
But I think some of that interest payment is still going to other systems like the pension systems and
Even there.
Yeah, but I think the Fed is backing it, correct? I mean, that's the bottom line.
So I just, we're paying essentially ourselves. We're lending to ourselves and then paying interest to ourselves. Mm-hmm. And I think the biggest issue is the inflation because the demand for dollars is being outstripped by the supply. We're pumping more dollars than there's actually demand for. And so that's driving the inflation. But the bankruptcy, the Fed's not going to bankrupt the country. No. I mean, in the literal sense, not the figurative sense, which the Fed will. That's where I get, look, I'm not an economist. But when you can print your own money and then you can borrow your own money, and for some reason, foreign governments accept this, that's the critical component.
Well,
is the dollar maintaining its reserve policy or reserve currency status.
Yeah, but are they accepting it because it's the United States? It's like the big bully on the block. You kind of accept it. I don't know, if we were, I don't know, pick a country. If let's say you're, Australia, do you accept it? I mean, do you have, the full faith and credit of the United States? You're like, well, they're always going to pay. They're going to find a way. If you're some other country, maybe Australia is a bad example, but pick something where there's a lot of upheaval.
I think Australia is a great example, and the reason being their proximity to China. They're still within the Anglosphere. The United States is the best unipower, superpower, loan power that you can ask for. It doesn't, as bad as we are, it doesn't get any better.
Right.
And so the cost of accepting effectively worthless dollars is, as bad as America is and as bad as these dollars are, I still want America cranking out Virginia-class submarines and maintaining a force of 18 divisions, because at the end of the day, that's what makes the world go around.
Well, and isn't that part of the issue? Like, how do you get rid of the debt? How do you start? How do you get rid of the deficit in the budget? You have to spend less or bring in more money. One of the two or both.
I think we've optimized Laffer curve. Our problem is not revenue. Our problem is spending.
Yeah, and most of that spending is mandated, as you find out every year when they talk about the budget. We'll do a continuing resolution. Well, I want to say it's 75% of the budget is mandated by court cases and so forth, where you have no choice. You're going to have to fund some of these programs unless you pass another budget. So how do you solve the problem? The people on the left will say, well, tax the billionaires, have a wealth tax.
I'm going to say, quite frankly, we've probably hit optimal.
I think those are.
We're bringing in more money than we ever have.
Mm-hmm. So J.D. Vance mentioned that Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has a plan to outgrow the debt. Do you believe that at all? I would like to know how we're going to do this. And originally, wasn't tariff revenue supposed to be something that was also supposed to help?
It would certainly help, but I doubt tariff revenue is going to exceed $300 billion a year.
Right. Yeah.
That's 15% of our current deficit spending. Now, some would argue, I certainly would, that if we get rid of everyone who wasn't born here, that would be a solid start, because I would say the refugees that we import in by the literal millions are not net contributors, and they probably consume more federal tax dollars per capita than any other population simply because they're refugees and because of our ridiculously generous benefits that we give to specifically refugees, and the Biden administration giving that status to 10 million people. I don't even know what the number is. You could argue Somali fraud alone is maybe the entire deficit. Maybe a bit facetious, but
Yeah, I don't know if it's that much, but it's a lot. I think, I do think Bessett's plan had a lot to do with tariffs and with those being struck down. Even if that was a valid plan, I don't know where you go with that. I mean, and the problem is when they talk about outgrowing the debt. Well, historically, I think our problem in both parties has been we spend. Anybody that comes in, we spend, and you just have to look at the budget to say, "Wow, things have gone up," and nobody seems willing to say, "Okay, why don't we start at zero and build these budgets out?" And tell me why we need this in the budget. I mean, last year, 2 years ago, the U.S. aid fiasco, where we found out a lot of not-for-profits were getting an awful lot of money from the government. I don't know if people knew that. I didn't know the extent of it, and I certainly didn't know that we had so many people connected in politics that were reaping the benefits of it, either through contributions or being on boards of these not-for-profits and working with them. So how do you change the mindset of the people that go to Washington?
Right.
Well, they're responding. Who in the United States is saying, I'm willing to take a hit? Just go ahead and cut my benefits. Because we've reached the looting of the Treasury phase of the fall of the Republic. And if you look on my back shelf, Decline and Fall is up there by Gibbon. And so if you're say you're me and you're 56 years old and you were decided that your company decided that you're no longer relevant. If I could collect Social Security today, I would, for as much as I could. Some sort of social contract where, no, you never scam the system. It's the good old USA. That's dead in the water. Everyone is grabbing as much as they can and trying to convert it into stocks, bonds, land, gold, whatever it is. We're in that phase. So we're not going to honor our way out of this by the voters and the taxpayers saying, I'm willing to pay a little bit more in taxes and I'm willing to accept a little bit less in benefits because that's what the country needs. That's dead.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's kill people you don't like who are stealing more than you think they should and grab everything that you can. Doesn't make for a healthy republic.
No, but that's where we're at. You're right. And you see it on social media all the time. What's the solution? Well, the billionaires. If Bernie Sanders has been going around the country with, these fake numbers, if we tax Jeff Bezos just 5% of his wealth, even though taxing wealth isn't even allowed constitutionally, but even if you could somehow do that, what's Bezos supposed to do? Sell part of Amazon so he can pay off taxes? And
we'll crash the stock market to grow the GDP.
Okay, yeah.
It makes sense in Bernie Sanders land. And I'm sure Paul Krugman is all about it too.
Yeah. Well, it's better politics than fiscal policy because you get a lot of people. There are more have-nots than haves when you're looking at billionaires. I mean, most of us aren't. Most of us won't be. And it's like, okay, why are they billionaires? Well, most of them.
They make a product that people buy.
Right. Yeah. If you look at the statistics, there's, it's a large percentage of people, millionaires and billionaires, who are self-made. So, a lot of them are
that's
first
true.
generation.
So this goes back to J.D. Vance, whom I'm not a fan of, and his critique of us being the world's reserve currency. And I forget what the name of the actual theory is, but essentially, if you have one product that you make, it's bad for your country. If you relied upon one thing that you export, because then you go monocrop. That's all you do. And it doesn't make for a healthy economy. And so what do we export? Well, we export dollars because there's a demand. Yeah. And how many of these billionaires are people who did nothing but work stocks or work within hedge funds that had, like Warren Buffett? Warren Buffett never made a damn thing in his life, but he's manipulated the market for half a century, and he's one of the richest men on earth. So there are some billionaires. I don't particularly like Jeff Bezos. I don't particularly like Amazon, but I live in Sunbright, Tennessee. Guess what? 50% of what I buy is off Amazon. It's a fantastic product.
Yeah.
And Jeff Bezos didn't steal that money from anyone. He offered a product and he got it. Elon Musk, I hated the subsidies that he used to grow Tesla into what it is, but that's one of those, I hate the game, not the player. Mm-hmm. Elon Musk just played the game as the government laid it out for him. I hate Windows. I hate Bill Gates. I use Windows. Yeah. I still hate Bill Gates. Tim Cook, Apple. I'm doing this on a MacBook, my daughter's MacBook that I bought for her, even though it's overpriced. So I think for every billionaire that we know who developed a product that we really appreciate, there's probably an equal number of billionaires, maybe not as many billions, but breaking that barrier, who did nothing but work within the money markets. That, I'd say those guys are kind of iffy.
I'd say, that becomes, was it Michael Douglas in the movie when you're talking about what are you making money off of? And it's speculation. You're just speculating and guessing which way the price is going.
I think we're coming to the realization that it's not speculation. It's actual market manipulation through politics, through just when Berkshire Hathaway buys, $500 million worth of stock, that stock is going up no matter what. And when he sells it 2 months later, he's made 10% in 2 months by doing nothing more than buying and selling any random stock. So I used to believe that, it's speculation, there's winners, there's losers. And
there's cheating winners, and then there might be other winners. And I would agree, if you had a group of people, and I think there's probably some of them on financial networks where they give you the stock, they'll tell you, hey, watch this, it's going to go up. Well, as they're saying that, they've already purchased it at a lower price. And no matter what it goes up, they're making money. And I don't know that I can blame them as long as that's legal. I mean, you are manipulating the market, but you're not really controlling it. It's not as bad as sitting in Congress and going in as someone who's worth 100,000 and now you're worth 10 million when you leave 4 or 5 years later. That seems really un-American.
Yeah. Oh, you're gonna make me start going off about Marjorie Taylor Greene and how she sucks, but
she didn't get to where she was because of her brains.
Yeah. Oh man.
If she was the only one, that'd be easy. But it's
I know.
It's the only one. And I guess the question is, if it was you, would you do that? I mean, if it's legal, I guess technically legal, because they're not going to be able to prove that you're manipulating it or you used inside information.
Respect to Lindsey Graham. He was in Senate forever, and he didn't make any money.
Right.
He was just making wars for the love of the game.
Well, Lindsey didn't have a wife. If you have a wife, you're going to have to make more money.
So now you're saying we can only elect homosexuals?
Yeah. Yes, only homosexuals from now on.
Like the Theban, what was it? I forget the name of the Theban elite forces. They were all gay lovers, the Theban 1,000 or something like that. You have to be gay to be in a Congress. Well, no, actually, why do you think Pete Buttigieg says he's gay? It ain't because he is. Anyways, there's another digression.
I don't know if I'm advocating for that, but I do think, Lindsey probably had less things to worry about, I guess. I don't know, but he does deserve some congratulations in his death that he didn't become a multimillionaire off of government, which is rare. It's right. I think a lot of people get into government at every level so that they can make more money. We've had, here in Illinois, we've had people go in as state reps who become multimillionaires, and you're like, you're just a state rep. What were you doing? And some of it's legal.
It's Illinois.
Some of it's not. We've had a lot of people convicted. So,
yeah. Where are you at again, Paul?
I'm in Sunbright, Tennessee.
Oh, yeah. You just said that earlier.
I'll have you know, the entire state is in mourning over Dolly Parton.
Yeah, that is sad. That was a
Dude,
sad
she's
one.
the patron saint of this. I think we're going to rename Nashville to Dolly Land or something like that.
Yeah. So I learned yesterday that when Trump ordered the flags at half staff, that was the first time ever done for an entertainer in history.
Dolly was so much more.
Yeah.
She was a big boobied entertainer. Sorry, that was a cheap shot. I'm dragging down your podcast, Sam. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
That's the first time for an entertainer, huh? That's interesting.
Yeah. I was watching him and Glenn Beck talk, and Trump didn't even know that was the first time done for an entertainer, I guess.
Her philanthropy, and I mean, what she did, she gave hundreds of millions of dollars in very charitable works to her hometown area, the Dollywood, Sevierville, Gatlinburg, all those. She does a thing where she'll mail out a book every month to any child in Tennessee.
I was wondering that because I just saw that a city next to me posted something about so many thousands of books that kids have gotten in the community from that program. And I was like, oh, that's cool.
No, she's not getting it for being an entertainer. She's getting it for being an icon, for being a philanthropist, for being a developer. If you've never been to Dollywood, it's amazing. And that's the town that Dolly built. Yeah. Gave jobs to thousands, millions visit, a huge boon to an otherwise utterly depressed economy. She did amazing things beyond simply entertainment. So, but
I haven't been, but I'll have to go. Yeah. I was watching an interview with her, and I think it was Jimmy Carson? Johnny Carson.
You young pup.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. But she seemed kind of like quirky and fun, and that's what I liked about her. Like, just, I don't know. She just seemed like a real person, not one of these.
Everyone who knew her personally said she is absolutely genuine. Nothing is fake about her. Her generosity is absolutely inherent.
Yeah.
And her brash personality, that was who she was as a entertainer, but that she was just a wonderful woman. In Tennessee, she is, if you can saint someone secularly, she's getting it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I will go to Dollywood's at some point.
Now you have to. But it is amazing that that's the first entertainer, because you would think, like Bob Hope. I remember growing up, Bob Hope always entertained the troops.
That'd be good.
Probably 40 years, maybe more. I don't know. I think it goes back to World War II. You would think someone would have thought, let's honor him.
I'd say we're also probably more liberal in who we place flags at half mast for than we half staff. I remember when I was a kid that the flag being at half mast was rare. It didn't happen very often. Now I'd say it's at half mast more often than not. It's to the point where it's really not much of a thing anymore. Like, you'll see the flag at half mast, like, what's it down for now? No one knows.
Yeah. A lot of people have said that when they'll see it, like, who died? Like, because you used to think a former president or someone, I guess everybody's important, but someone of stature in the government has died. It's not like just anybody died. And now, good and bad, you'll see sometimes there's a soldier killed, and it's like, okay, they're half staff. It's like, why? We don't even know where he was killed at, but it's down. Like, I'm not sure. I liked it better when it was just unusual.
Yeah.
Agreed. Because it means nothing. If you did a flag at half mast every time a soldier died, well, World War II, Vietnam, Korea, that was every day. GWAT during the peak, that was every day.
Yeah.
At some point, the flag just has to stand high. If it's at half mast all the time, I don't know. It diminishes it. Not that Dolly doesn't deserve it, but I think it's as much a reflection as the diminished requirements for such an honor as it is her importance nationally.
Yeah. Well, since we're talking about entertainment in a little bit, do you guys want to pivot to the title or the subject I titled WNBA crap?
Is that your read on the whole league, or what's going on with the league?
Yes, it's crap.
Yeah, it's I mean, they're just trying to tank themselves. Like it's like they don't want people watching the WNBA.
No, they don't. They don't. That's the thing is they're like, people just need to watch the WNBA. And then Caitlin Clark came out and we started watching the WNBA. No, avert your eyes, children. Don't watch the WNBA. Like it as a symbol of women empowerment without the dirty reality of how bad the majority of these women actually are at the game of basketball. I think more than any other mainstream sport where women participate, the difference between the men and the women in physical capabilities and skill is so glaring that it makes it even more of a joke than it was when no one was watching it. It's already a welfare basket case for the NBA. It's never made money. It's always lost money in 25 years. So they feel the WNBA's leadership feels no responsibility to make money. They never have, they never will. So it's more important as a symbol of progressive advancement and LGBT than it is as any sort of sports league or certainly as an entertainment league. And so now they're being threatened because people are seeing the product and they see how bad it is. And there's pushback because it's being held to a standard it was never held to. And the leadership has never accepted that it should be held to a standard of athletic excellence and entertainment. It's always just been the NBA's charity.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
I thought it was $100 million that the NBA supports the WNBA every year. And
I don't know the exact number.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist without it.
Right. And now they just tied their television contract into it. So they're good for another how many years. But I think you've hit it on the head when you're talking about the quality of play. I'm surprised, as someone who is, discriminated against because I'm not as tall as NBA players. I always thought,
kings.
Exactly. I've always thought, wow, that rim is kind of high. And we used to take the rim and put it lower so we could dunk. But if you look at the women, I don't know if any of them can dunk. Honestly, I haven't seen that.
A few have. There's they have a list of the 6 who in 25 years managed to do an uncontested, very weak dunk.
And that sells. I mean, in the NBA, we've gone to 3-pointers a lot, but people still like to see these flying dunks and the athleticism that they see from the men. And, it seems like it's almost like we were kids. We let's take that down to 8 feet. We can dunk now. and
so that's been presented as an option. NBA players have said, lower the rim. You're already playing with a smaller ball. And then the females are all insulted. It's like, whoa, no, we want to be respected for who we are. Well, you're a joke is who you are. So either acknowledge reality or don't. But I guess it really gets back to they've never had to worry about being good or entertaining. They've always just been the NBA's charity.
Right.
And so it's their own little internal club. They get paid. No one watched. No one cared. And I'm being dismissive. I've watched highlights of Caitlin Clark. I've never watched a WNBA game. Let's face it, I'm not Lindsey Graham. So Caitlin Clark takes amazing shots. She sinks them from, Steph Curry range. She has her handle's okay, but she has a very good vision for passing. She gets doubled and triple teams. She'd have far more assists if her teammates could make layups. Now, Sophie Cunningham is far more attractive and far worse at basketball, which makes Sophie Cunningham far more popular in the overall audience.
Yeah. It's so being from Iowa, we watched Caitlin Clark play in
She's
college.
Your girl.
Yeah, right. But I mean, I'm going to have to say I'm more of a Sophie Cunningham fan just because she's.
Oh, me too.
First off, she is gorgeous, but she's a good role model, and I think that sports in general kind of lacks in good role models. But I know she's not the best player, but she's a good role model. Obviously, I agree with her views on what a woman is and everything, which I don't even know if she said anything that outrageous or that to the right. It's just that the WNBA, ever since Caitlin Clark started, now they're just doing these stunts to get attention. I think because I don't like kind of going back to what you were saying, I don't think they're used to the attention. I don't think they're used to people caring that much. So now it's like, oh, well, we have to have a purpose. We have to have people continue to watch. So I think they let them beat up on Caitlin Clark a little bit because it continues to bring viewers back. If you're beating up on the one good player, it's going to bring people back because they're going to
you're working off of a false premise. They don't care about viewers.
Oh yeah. that is what you were saying.
Look, it's been a league for black lesbians and lesbians in general. Caitlin Clark is neither black nor a lesbian. Mm-hmm. She doesn't belong in their club, and she certainly doesn't belong as arguably the best player in their club. Which I don't watch enough WNBA to say that she is, because really, the only two players I know are her and Angel Reese, who I've actually seen clips of. Angel Reese is horrible. Yeah. And they're trying to make her into a star. So if Angel Reese is the model of excellence for the WNBA, Caitlin Clark is by far the best player in the WNBA. Mm-hmm. If Angel Reese is the supposed standard bearer, because she's horrible. Yeah. And they make her like the best. They made her the cover of the video game. They're totally playing her up. Mm-hmm. So I have to assume that's actually what the normal WNBA excellence looks like. If so, it's a horrific league.
Well, it is. It's a horrific league for sure. I mean, and I think, they're killing the golden goose, but the other players and the ones that run the league seem to be clueless. And even when Caitlin Clark came up, is it a couple of years now? And I mean, I haven't followed really her career, except I knew she was a star in college and then was drafted and is still a star. But the idea that these, the league and the other players weren't happy to have a star in the league to bring more eyes to the game, they didn't care. Even I think Charles Barkley said, they should shut up. The reason they're on, charter planes instead of commercial is because of Caitlin Clark. Money is starting to come in, and they should build off of that. But I think Charles, to your point, was looking at it the wrong way. He was looking at it like it's the NBA. How do we make the NBA better? Well, it's always been the stars, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, and the NBA always played those stars up. They didn't attack those guys and say, hey, we have to, if Michael goes in to lay up, knock him down. I mean,
did you miss the entire late 80s with the Detroit Pistons?
Well, that was the Pistons.
Mr. Illinois.
The Pistons were the best team at one point.
Well, they were the best. They were the best team at one point, but let's not pretend that Michael Jordan wasn't the best player at that point. And they were killing him.
They were, basketball was different too, though. Basketball, you did hit each other a little bit.
Nobody hit like the Pistons.
No.
I mean, the bad boys earned their reputation. And the thing is, you talk about killing the golden goose. The golden goose for the WNBA is the NBA. It's not the fans. It's not the viewers. It's none of that. The NBA is the golden goose. And beating up Caitlin Clark isn't going to kill that golden goose. Because the WNBA doesn't see it, the NBA doesn't see the WNBA as anything but a tax write-off.
Well, right. I agree.
And they're never going to, right. And modern money.
Will they ever become anything? Well, most sports fans, people that spend money on sports, are men. I mean, without, it's not too much of a reach to say if you ask 10 women how many sporting events do they go to by themselves or pay for, it's going to be very few. I go, I used to have season tickets with the White Sox because I'm Mr. Illinois. And, I split it up with some guys, and I didn't know a lot of these guys, and they're picking the games they want. And I'm picking, the Yankees are coming in. The Red Sox are playing. I'm looking for good games. They're sitting there going, well, let's see, Saturday night is fireworks night. My wife will kill me if I don't grab that one. Right. Go ahead. I don't stay for the fireworks. I could care less. And it didn't matter who they were playing. I think to the point, the women weren't going to the games to see the sport. They're not into it. That's not their interest for the most part. I mean, I'm sure Caitlin Clark cares a lot more about WNBA basketball than I do or you do. I mean, but for the most part, viewers, people that go to games, they're men. So how do you build up a women's professional sports without subsidizing?
You don't.
You don't.
Women's beach volleyball does very, very well comparatively, far better than men's beach volleyball for some unknown reason.
Gee, I wonder why.
Is it unknown?
It's completely unknown because we're just here for the athleticism. Let's be quite honest.
Again, who's watching that? Men, probably.
Yeah.
No. How dare you? In my best Greta Thunberg impersonation.
How dare you?
But here's the thing. Most professional sports now make money off of television contracts.
Mm.
And I think the influx of money is simply the networks, again, throwing money at something that is a loser overall in pursuit of a social and political goal, not a fiscal goal. Just as the WNBA was the charity case for the NBA for goodwill and whatnot, the networks are going to throw money at the WNBA simply to prove that the WNBA is valuable, that what they do is valuable, and they don't care whether or not anyone watches it. It's not ticket sales.
Yeah.
No.
So, and look, these CEOs, they have no real fiscal responsibility. They didn't create these companies. They don't care. I don't know, whoever runs Time Warner or whatever the conglomerates are, they couldn't care less. And so they'll throw billions, literally, of shareholders' money at the WNBA for the politics, my opinion. So I think that's where this big influx of money has come from. Caitlin Clark has brought in viewership. Viewership is now laughing at it. And the YouTube videos are probably 10,000 times more viewed than any game is on whatever network covers it. But now it's become a political battle. The Caitlin Clark blow up and the Sophie Cunningham, versus the angry lesbians. This is a political game now, and the networks have to back their horse, which is the LGBT trans progressive team.
Well,
so it's free reign on beating up Caitlin Clark.
Right.
But it's gotten bigger than beating up Caitlin Clark because now, they were forced into defining a woman.
Which they didn't. They simply banned them by name. They didn't establish any policy. They're simply going to ban individuals from playing without any standard whatsoever because now they're going to claim they're a private club.
Right.
Yeah, which kind of goes to show you how bad the league is. How hard is it? It's in your name. I mean, it's the Women's National Basketball Association. It's not that hard to say what a woman is. And if it is that hard, you've got a problem if you can't do that. And I guess if they cared about growing the league, they'd care about fixing that problem.
I really think across the board, it is more of a political statement of LGBT and progressive and feminism than anything to do with growing the league and making money. The politics outweighs any business decisions they might make. And their attack on Caitlin Clark is proof. You wouldn't be mauling her and humiliating her, not voting for her for the All-Star, not putting her on the Olympic team. She's a star. You put her on those things because she's a star and she's going to bring in viewers. They don't care about any of that. The politics are trumping any sort of business or entertainment aspect of the league, which is the biggest indictment and the biggest reason it's an absolute joke, except for Sophie. We love Sophie.
I thought it was funny when they all went out wearing the same shirt that said, "Pay us what you owe us." And in my mind, like my husband and are both like, okay, so then you owe the NBA money then? Because
you should cut a check every game and give it to the NBA.
Right. And I think some of that was like, oh, well, we get paid less because we're women. And it's like, no, you get paid less because no one gives a shit. Like no one cared about the WNBA until Caitlin Clark started playing.
And now we care just to laugh at it.
Right. And argue with it. I mean, now it's kind of the butt of the joke that, they can't define a woman. You've got these, two NBA players or ex-NBA players wanting to play or saying they want to play. I think it's what's he now? Is it Enos Friedman or whatever he calls himself?
Yeah.
Freedom.
Yeah.
Freedom.
It used to be, that wasn't even a consideration. Then he's sitting there going, "Well, I'll score 60 points." You probably will, because you'll stand over by the net and just dunk constantly. I mean,
everyone would watch it. If they really cared about viewership,
they would
have let him come in and everyone would watch that game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, it would be the Harlem Globetrotters, and so he'd be the Harlem Globetrotter, singular, and the rest of the league would be the Washington Generals.
Yeah.
Or Generals or whatever.
I'd love to see the other one, Royce. He's calling himself Roysha. I would love to see them both on opposite teams, and it's just these two guys playing while girls are getting knocked over left and right. It'd be hilarious.
Well, maybe we can start a league if we can get someone to support it.
Well, I forget who it was, the guy who Portnoy does Barstool Sports, whom I don't like, but he said he's going to start the Nashville Balls. Yes. Which should be a WNBA team of nothing but transgender women.
Yeah. Right.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. And that's the problem. You've got all these over-the-top ideas, and it's like, you win every game if you can do that.
The Nashville Dollies.
Hey. Wow. Perfect. Yeah.
Marketing. You'll be the marketing guy for Portnoy. It's great.
Yeah. Hey guys, sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to tell you about my sponsors quick. Sometimes I get on a roll cleaning or gardening and I need a boost, but I don't have time for a meal. Big Fork Brand's pork jerky is the perfect choice to keep my momentum, offering high-protein snacks for on-the-go energy boosts. Not only do they offer pork jerky, but they also make pork sticks, bacon sausage, bacon hot dogs, and burger and hot dog sauces. Products come in a variety of delicious flavors, including Thai green curry and maple and brown sugar for the meat options, and gangster and Chicago fire for the sauces. I personally think the original flavor of the pork jerky hits just right after tackling a big chore. It's a little salty and very flavorful. My discount code gives you 20% off your entire order, and it's currently the best deal available. Just visit bigforkbrands.com and enter in my promo code JADE, that's JADE, at checkout. Are you looking for a gift for a music lover, or maybe some apparel to show off your quirky side? Old Glory has you covered. With over 300,000 officially licensed items covering music, sports, entertainment, and pop culture, you're guaranteed to find the perfect item. They even have seasonal gear. My husband enjoys the Led Zeppelin and Beatles apparel, and I love the Billy Idol apparel. I even found some items for my fellow plant enthusiasts. This family-owned superstore is known for their quality and customer service, offers free standard shipping on all orders, and orders are shipped the same day you purchase. My discount code gives you 15% off your entire order, and it's currently the best deal available. Just visit oldglory.com and enter in my promo code JADE, that's JADE, at checkout. Looking for a game-changing way to improve your health? Zevo Life is the world's most nutrient-dense whole plant, packed with over 50% plant protein, essential amino acids, fiber, and antioxidants. Harnessing the best nature has to offer, Zevo Life nourishes your body while driving your performance, vitality, and overall well-being. Each serving is a concentrated source of clean, well-balanced nutrition designed to support modern lifestyles, and just 1 teaspoon a day supports your gut, boosts energy, and promotes healthier skin and hair. It's no wonder it's receiving 5-star reviews. Step into a healthier future with a 30% discount and a 30-day risk-free guarantee by visiting zivo.life and using my promo code. To support my show and to receive 30% off your entire order, enter in my promo code JADE, that's JADE, at checkout. Oh, hello. Are you looking for gear that lets you wear your American pride every single day? Proud Patriots is the go-to online store for Americans who wear their values proudly. From bold, patriotic apparel and hats to collectibles, home decor, and gift-ready finds, Every product is designed for people who love this country and aren't afraid to show it. Whether you're celebrating a holiday, honoring a veteran, or just living your American pride every day, Proud Patriots has something for you. It's more than a store. It's a community of like-minded Americans keeping patriotism alive. Here's why you'll love it. It's a one-stop shop for patriotic apparel, collectibles, and gifts. No hunting across a dozen different stores. It's a way to put your money where your values are, supporting a brand built around American heritage. With items for holidays, birthdays, retirements, or just because I love America moments, Proud Patriots offers a wide range of price points so anyone can find something. Using my discount code not only helps support my show, but it also gives you 15% off your entire order, which is currently the best deal available. Just visit proudpatriots.com and enter in my promo code JADE, that's JADE, at checkout. Okay, I'm going to skip the Iran topic for now. Sorry, I'm just like switching topics real fast.
We're good. We're good.
I feel like everyone's tired of hearing about Iran. Maybe at the end, I'll kind of ask you guys your predictions on what's going on with that. But I feel like the administration is kind of actually making success in other areas. And after we got rid of some of the people like Pam Bondi, Kristi Noem, other departments are running a little bit more fluidly. You guys will have to let me know if you agree with that or not. Also, I'm wondering if the USAID money drying up has anything to do with less protests against ICE and stuff. But so DHS reported that immigration authorities deported an average of 3,600 illegal immigrants per day last week, totaling 27,000 removals in just 7 days. And at this rate, there could be 1 million deportations by the end of the year. I feel like they're being quieter about their success to prevent, some of these riots or protests, whatever you want to call them. But I do think that that's a significant number that shows some progress. What do you guys think about it?
I'd say illegal aliens are a lot like the debt.
Mm-hmm.
It's so big. What do you do? But at least we're not in deficit anymore, to its credit. I think we're not hearing about it simply because the media chooses not to report on it, because the media realizes that mass deportation is massively popular with everyone.
Yes.
So they misplayed their hands in the fighting the ICE, and that worked against them politically. And now with the midterms getting up close, they don't want Trump to say, I'm deporting them by the millions right now.
Yeah.
Because that was the number one issue. And so I think the media is deliberately underplaying this. It's not any part of the administration. Obviously, they're touting their numbers and what they're doing as well they should. I think it's the media is not amplifying the message because they realize it's counterproductive to Democrats in the midterms, my opinion.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I think there's something to that. And I think, on the administration side, some of the bad press they were getting from these protests, some of the deaths, they decided to change it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
They're more effective this way. I mean, although I think some of the people that support Trump are looking at it like it's not enough because they don't see it. So I think it cuts both ways.
Right.
The media doesn't want to show it. And, the Trump people have maybe backed off. It appears that way. They're still doing it, but they're not out in the middle of the street, guns blazing, I guess. So,
Right.
Because I see a lot of, hardline, not get them all out of here. You'll see some of these people who say, I not only want the illegals out, I want anybody who supports the illegals to be thrown out. There we go. And it's funny. Like,
legal, illegal, deport them all. Let UN sort them out.
Yeah.
Sort it out later. And we don't care what country. And, when you hear that, you're like, okay, a lot of those people are mad that they don't see, they think there's not progress. So I think the Trump administration has to show the progress that, maybe Noam and, at that time, and was it Pavino, the guy who was doing it before with ICE, they were over the top where you were getting like reports almost daily. And I think that made a lot of people feel good. I don't know if they were any more effective than they are now.
Right. Right. Yeah, I've been kind of wondering that because I remember right after Trump was inaugurated, people started these deportation counters, but then it would just freeze, and it was hard to keep track of because I mean, they've been blocked left and right by judges, but the temporary protected status was officially ended for Somalis and Ethiopians, and that opens up another possible 1 million deportations there. Um, in the border wall. I mean, like I know a lot of the focus is on Iran, but there are some successes from this administration so far that I don't think people are thinking about enough as these midterms come closer.
Well, what are the subjects? Well, the economy is really not reflecting it. The wages and employment are still getting hammered.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, that's going to be the biggest issue.
Yeah.
Am I better off are you better off than you were 2 years ago? I don't think very many people are going to say yes to that, especially people who got deported. And we know they vote. So, this ties into it.
Yeah.
Well, that's always the question. And, I think I've had this conversation with others. When the first Bush, H.W. Bush, lost re-election, I was doing fine. I didn't see when people were complaining and the Clinton people were saying it's the economy stupid. I'm like, the economy's fine. But for some people, it wasn't fine. And that's always the problem. It's how are you doing individually? It's not how the country's doing, because a lot of those numbers don't affect anybody. I know Trump talks about, well, the market's doing great. How many people actually look at the market, though? I mean, the closer you get to retirement, maybe, but are people in their 30s sitting there checking every day? I doubt it. They just know they have a little money in there, and they're told if they leave it in there, they're going to have a lot at the end. So they don't see that, responding well for them individually. But, Buffett should see it for his. He has a lot of money, or people who are deeply invested in it. If you're doing well, yeah. When you answer that question, it's kind of different for everybody. But one thing I can tell you is you can't please these, voters, really. And it's no matter what the problem is, you'll have people jumping off, Trump or MAGA saying, well, we're in Iran now, even though we're not really in there.
Right.
To me, we're in there when there's.
I think Reagan has proved that you can please almost all the people some of the time, because Reagan really did deliver an economic boom that carried throughout the 80s. It did. No, 82, he was getting hammered.
Yeah.
But by 84, 88, he was cooking with a completely hostile press. There was no a fair press to help Reagan, but still the people just knew inherently their lives were better, and they voted accordingly. And then, H.W. Bush, it definitely took a dive. And also think, H.W. Bush was also dedicated to destroying the Reagan legacy. I'm not a H.W. fan. I'm not a W fan. I mean, he was there to be the anti-Reagan, and people tend to forget that, but he was all happy to carry his coattails, which is my concern with J.D. Vance. I think what works against Trump is his brand is, I'm a winner, I never lose, things are always going to be better when I'm in charge. So when he comes up and he touts the stock market, he touts GDP numbers, he touts, I got $3 trillion worth of investments for foreign companies coming here building stuff. That's theoretical to the majority of people whose wages are stagnant, their buying power is down, they can't afford a house, or they're like me, they're unemployed. And I've applied for probably 75 jobs. I haven't gotten an interview, and I'm taking severe pay cuts. The economy sucks for a lot of people. And you just can't say, well, the GDP is up. That's a worthless metric to a voter.
Right.
Right. Because you look at your own life. If you're the guy looking for a job, the economy sucks. If you're the guy who has a good job, is doing well, the economy's great. And you don't really see what other people, I think, to that point of Reagan, what did he say that if you lose if your neighbor loses his job, it's a recession. If you lose your job, it's a depression. And
And if Carter loses his job, it's a recovery. He was so good. Reagan was so good. That was the full quote.
and that's the beauty of it, but it's so true when you think about it. Like,
Sure.
you might feel sorry that your neighbor's out of work, but you're doing fine. But once
Mhm.
you're out of work, nobody really cares you're out of work. It's,
I'm intellectual enough to know I can't blame Trump for my current situation. It took decades to create an environment where
Mhm.
every job that I'm competitive for is controlled by an Indian or the cousin of an Indian.
Mhm.
So him going after H-1Bs is good. I have never. So here's something kind of quasi-related, perhaps. 10 years ago, the reputation of Indians was they were the perfect immigrant, the model immigrant.
Mhm.
10 years later, I don't know anyone who likes them. The reputation of Indians in American society has completely tanked
Yeah.
to out. Maybe they hit a critical mass where they were free to fly their asshole flags or whatever it is. But the fall has been amazing.
Yeah. It's funny because I recently started catching up to that because I've noticed that anytime I have someone messaging me about like, oh, pay me to promote your podcast, blah, 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 it's always an Indian person. And if I so now I just completely like block them the minute they send a request, because if I accept like their LinkedIn connection or something, and then they message me and I don't respond, in 4 hours, I'm waiting for your response. I'm on LinkedIn. Do you think I'm just sitting here hanging out to talk to you? And then so I just completely ignore them all too, because it's like how rude. How rude. 4 hours later and you're upset that I didn't respond to you. You're probably not even a real person. Go fuck yourself. Like it makes me mad.
I don't apply to any jobs that have an Indian hiring manager because I know all they're doing is they're data harvesting and
Mhm.
selling my email. So
Yeah.
since I've started applying for jobs, my scam emails, my scam phone calls have gone through the roof.
Oh, I bet.
If anything associated with that has an Indian name, I don't apply because one, I have never gotten a call back from them.
Mhm.
I've never gotten a legitimate interview for an actual position. It's all a scam.
Yeah.
And they've developed an earned reputation of being a culture that is about scamming. Like, get what you
Mhm.
can. Back to the looting of the treasury, which kicked off this wonderful discussion.
Yeah. Yeah.
well, there's a lot of scamming everywhere. I mean, if you look at the
Yeah.
internet,
Somalis.
I mean, everybody is, in on the scam, it seems like, or their scam, whether it's
Agreed. So let's stop importing the ones who seem to have turned it into an art form.
Yeah. Right.
I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
and
Right.
and I would go along with, let's kick out the ones we catch who do it.
Mhm.
People, now we've gone digital on everything. Everybody has their bank account, with their phones. People, and they're stealing, basically your information, however they can get it. You have to be
Yeah.
careful of what you put out about yourself. Here we are, we're putting information out on this, saying who we are. It's like, okay, let me find out when this guy was born. I got his
Mhm.
age, and before you know it, they're stealing your identity. And yeah, it's a scam. It might be a smaller scam than the Somalis in Minnesota, but it's still a scam. And when it hits
It's a
you,
scam until your bank account's cleaned
yeah,
out.
right.
Yeah.
And you hear these stories, and some of it, yeah, they trick people, and you might say, well, that was awful stupid. How did that guy
Mhm.
give up
Who cares?
information?
Who cares if it was stupid?
Yeah,
Yeah.
We're in a
it's a
country where
crime.
you don't scam your neighbors, but if one thing I learned from Vivek Ramaswamy is his neighbors are Indians. His neighbors are not other Americans. That's who he cares about.
I did not know that.
Well, when he talks about the superior culture of Indians, why we should
Mhm.
import more of them because they're just better people than Americans.
Oh yeah, yeah, and he did make some
Yeah.
H-1B comments that were
Like, we need more Indians because they're better people from a superior culture. Those were
yeah.
his words.
Yeah. I forgot that
Wow,
he
bold
said that.
statement for a would-be politician under MAGA.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's well. And to that point, though, a lot of MAGA or even Republicans in general have made statements that are, you know, they're not only mistakes, they're just stupid. They're not,
Mhm.
we have, I think there's 10 House members. Now, some of them might be retiring or lost in the primary who back a path to citizenship. I'm
Right.
sorry.
Marco,
We had an
Marco Rubio,
election. Well, yes, he did at one point, right?
Gang of
And,
8.
Gang of 8, right.
That's
But
right.
I think he's probably sworn that off since. But
I don't care. If you couldn't
Yeah.
figure it out 10 years ago, I have no time for you because now you're just an opportunist. That's my problem with Rubio. That's my problem with JD Vance.
okay, now
JD Vance.
you're out
Sorry.
on Vivek, so now you're out on 3. Who else? Who's going to be the next president? You're out.
Hegseth.
We got your job. We got the job.
Hegseth is the man.
Except, Tennessee.
He's not for Tennessee. He's a Minnesota boy.
Yeah, where's he living now? Thought he was living in
GC,
Tennessee.
as God
Wow.
demanded. He's a Minnesota boy. Princeton,
I forgot
Harvard,
that
war
he was
hero.
Minnesota.
Fantastic hair, amazing build, beautiful family, sexy guy.
Fantastic.
Hegseth is everything. Snazzy dresser.
I forgot military. We're going with Hegseth. Okay,
Yeah.
I like him, but I'm not sure
Give me the negative.
of Hegseth. I don't know when I
Thank
have a
you.
negative on him. I mean, really, I'd say this. Even though Trump did it, I really do like the idea of someone being in office at some level when they run for president.
SecDef.
Oh yeah, defense.
And,
yeah,
and look,
defense.
Eisenhower is one of our worst presidents, right?
Well, it depends who you ask. I mean, they're all our best and all our worst.
I would say that in the pantheon of presidents, Eisenhower is well respected.
Could be. I mean, it's hard to be worse than Biden or Carter. So, at least in my lifetime, those are the two that stick out as the worst.
Well,
I wasn't born for Eisenhower.
I'll put it this way. I'd rather have someone who's never been in office than a senator. I like governors, but being a senator does not prepare you to be a chief executive, to be a decision maker, to someone who makes hard calls. I want a chief executive who's been a chief executive, whether that's of a state or a company.
Okay. How about DeSantis?
I like
What's your
DeSantis.
beef? You like DeSantis?
I do like DeSantis. My issue with him is he didn't stay loyal to Trump in 2024. He ran against him instead of supporting him. My respect goes to those who in 2024 said, I know he's going through all these things, but Trump is the leader of this party, and I'm going to support him. And DeSantis wasn't that guy.
Yeah.
He's also a career politician, which irks me.
Yeah, well.
Look, and I like DeSantis. Don't get me wrong. I like him. I think he would do well. But I would take him over Rubio or Vance. How's that?
Hegseth DeSantis ticket. We got it. We figured it out.
I'm willing to be his campaign manager in the state of Tennessee. Let's do this, man. Come on. Let's keep this going. He's the only big name who's been unquestionably a Trump supporter since 2015 that I can think of. That has, like, I guess you could say Scott Bessent, but I don't think he's a presidential candidate.
No.
Yeah.
He enjoys himself too much to be a presidential
Yeah.
candidate.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, who else are we looking at?
I
Dr.
think-
Taylor Green, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens. She'll raise the standard there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I don't think so, but
No.
I'm looking at names. First and foremost, who's loyal to the agenda? Rubio, you were a gang of 8 for mass amnesty. That's a disqualifier for MAGA. I don't care if you changed your mind because you wanted to move forward in politics and the sea changed. I want you going in one direction. I don't want you going whichever way the wind takes you. JD Vance, you voted for a CIA agent in 2016. You became MAGA when you wanted to be a senator from Ohio.
well, sure. Well, like you said,
then-
politicians. So
Right.
you adjust. And I think
Yeah.
when you look at, we're not going to be able to, we'll get to vote, but we're not going to pick who's the person. It's, Trump is kind of
Sam's reach is going to get out People are going to watch this and they're like, oh my God, these guys figured it out.
Mhm.
Don't undersell
Yep.
Sam's audience.
Yeah, maybe.
Start somewhere.
Yep. I was still working on Kalshi to get Hegseth on the betting
Once he
thing.
hits Calci, he takes off. People
Mhm.
see that name and they're going to be like, oh my God,
I never even thought about
where's
that.
he been?
And you'll tell them where he's been.
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
If I was a betting man, and I am, I would say it's Vance and Rubio. That's the ticket. Trump endorses it, and that's it. Again,
So here's the advantage we have, though. Trump picks it. Whoever Trump endorses will be the candidate.
yeah, I
Right.
think so.
So
Yeah.
so what? We cut a check for $100,000. We get 30 seconds with Trump. I got one word for you.
Yeah.
Just one word. Headset.
Yeah. Or his sons. We just need someone connected to Trump. to
I
put that
mean,
in his
the
ear.
nepotism might even turn me off, to be honest.
Oh no, I'm saying we just need to let his sons know.
Let his
Hey,
sons know.
tell your
Okay.
dad that we want Hegseth. And yeah. No, I actually
sell
don't
it.
know if it would be a good idea for either of his sons to run, just because I don't think, like you said, the nepotism, I don't think people, even though other families have done it, I think people are kind of over it at this
Yeah,
point.
the Bushes, weren't they great?
Right. Okay, so we were discussing Somalis and immigration and fraud. Ilhan Omar, I see, is under investigation. I don't think anything's going to happen to her, but I see that they're at least trying. What do you guys think?
This is on her immigration for lying on her immigrations.
Yeah, marrying her brother.
We've all been there.
Right.
Who hasn't married a sibling?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Once or twice.
Yeah.
I don't think anything will happen to her. I mean, it seems like it should have happened already if it was going to.
Mhm.
You know,
Politically, what's the benefit? She'll just be replaced with a clone. Ilhan
Right.
Omar has no policies of her own.
Yeah.
She's just a cog in the Democrat machine.
Yeah.
I think the negatives of that would be worse than just leaving her in here and letting the dirt fly, and just
I think you're right. I think strategically, the dumber they are on the left, let them stay. It's if they have someone that's really bright, you have to worry about them. But these guys that are, like her, that aren't very bright, it's not going to make a difference. She's not going to go anywhere. I mean, she'll be, spouting nonsense. And I think you see, when it started just a few years ago, were the real far left, Omar and AOC and, the squad is what they called themselves. And I think at one point it was like 4 or 5. Then it got up to maybe 8. Now DSA has come out of that, where the Democrats, socialists, they've got a Senate candidate or a couple Senate candidates. It's become
the squad's become a platoon.
It's it's going to be the mainstream of the Democratic Party. And I was talking to a Democratic consultant, and I said, they're taking over the party. What's going to happen to what's ever left of the Democrats, the moderate, normal people? And I said, I think they're going to leave the party. And he said, nah, that's wishful thinking on your part, which I agree. It is wishful thinking. But I also think, if you're someone who's middle of the road and you're being pushed out further and further by the crazies, I mean, the ideas that are spouted by some of these people, no prisons, not only defund the police, get rid of the police. Well, if you're going to do that, no prison, no police, I think I've got a job for you, criminal. We're going to rob places. I mean, there's
Private
nobody
security. I'll be a warlord. That pays really well.
Private security.
I discussed this with Sam. So the only undecided voter, which the fact that undecided voters exist in the United States is perhaps the greatest indictment on the Department of Education, are women, white women, generally married. They're the only ones who will change their minds on which party to vote for as a cohort, as a group. Individuals will, but everyone else has pretty much dyed in the wool.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
so you're not going to win the awfuls because their entire identity is wrapped around being a progressive.
Mm-hmm.
But are the policies of the DSA enough to get white women to go, I can't vote for that. That's too crazy. And if they're pitching socialism and free stuff for everything and being nice to criminals, that doesn't turn off undecided white female voters.
Right. I used to vote Democrat, just a reminder. Yeah. And then, yes. And then I lived around a bunch of psychos down in Austin, Texas, and that's what turned me. I think when you are kind of, I think it might get bad before it gets better.
It has to.
Yeah.
There's a theoretical level of understanding the second and third order effects of a policy that transcends emotional based actions. Women go off their intuition, their gut, their feelings, that would be nice, without going deeper into it other than, well, that would be nice. And I'm a nice person. Therefore, I like the person who's going to be nice. And if I vote for him, that makes me a nice person without actually having to lay out any cash. I'm sure Arena's, whatever her name was, that got stabbed on the bus, was very progressive.
Right.
And she would change her vote if she could, but she's dead now.
Mm-hmm.
So she can't.
Yeah.
It's what a conservative as a liberal has been mugged until these fairly affluent white women get physically mugged by the policies they advocate for. They'd rather be considered nice and make that their moral standing based upon their politics of niceness is where they get their morality.
Yeah.
And
I unfortunately, I agree. It's, I don't really know. I had a terrible time in Austin. So I learned, and now when I go back and visit, it's great. I can say I'll never vote for anyone on the left again, because politics, the world of politics is not nice. You can't be nice to everybody. It's just one of those situations. You can't give everything away. You can't make everybody happy. Unfortunately, you have to make tough decisions. And sure, you can help people out, but there's not some sort of consequence. There's no way to look there's no way to look nice when you're like, sorry, you have to go back to your country, or sorry, I know you're not eating, but maybe you should have gotten a job within the last five years because we're no longer going to fund this. I mean, and that's the other problem is, sorry, I'm going off, but a lot of people don't know how to be accountable for their own decisions. And I see that a lot with a lot of liberal voters, especially women of a certain age. You made your bed. Lie in it. Stop relying on the government.
The patriarchy created this. This is not my fault. And look, in their defense, and the defense is tepid at best, since they were 5 years old, they've had 90% women telling them that they're perfect, they're awesome, and everything bad that happens to them is because of evil white men and Republicans.
Right.
But I repeat myself. When you've been fed that from the age of 5 to 30, by the time they finish their 7th master's degree, and then they go out in the world ready to lay all that lesbian dance theory from the 14th century Renaissance, or whatever. I know the Renaissance post dates the 14th century, and then they can't get a good job. It's not their fault. They have 4 master's degrees. It's obviously society's fault. No one has ever sat them down, certainly not their fathers, if they were around, and would they listen to their dads if they did, to tell them, hey, it's an imperfect world filled with imperfect people, and compromises have to be made. And it sucks for some folks, and that's not fair. But it's even worse to put Stalin in charge.
Yeah. Also, I think that a lot of these people that are voting for the DSA are being, especially the women, are being pretty purposely blind to how women are treated in the communities that a lot of these people come from. So we're just going to vote for somebody who comes from a community that throws acid on the face of a woman for showing her hair, or someone from a community that thinks it's okay to have sex with a 9-year-old. Like
Sam,
that's
you
what
can
we're
say
okay
Muslims. It's okay. You can say it.
You're
You don't
gonna
have to
say
say a
that.
community. You can just go out and say it. But yeah,
I mean, they actually believe that these people are going to do what's best for them if that's what they're voting. And it's like,
Well, because
eh,
it's become tribal now, and
uh-huh.
we're probably all guilty of it to some extent. I find myself defending people over the last, 10, 20 years that I shouldn't have. And you look back and
Yeah.
say, yeah, that was wrong. Because they're so in, it's like the other side can't be right on anything.
Hmm.
They won't give an inch. And, Trump says it. If you're against Trump, no matter what it is. And it's been said if he cured cancer, that they would still boo
Yeah.
him. It's like
Oh, right.
they
Yeah.
probably would. They would certainly say it wasn't him, even if there was evidence he did do it. And I think
Yeah.
sometimes you're throwing all your chips in with that one party, which becomes a problem. I don't want to defend some of these people. And a good example is Marjorie Taylor Greene. She would say the craziest stuff when she was in Congress.
Hmm.
And I'd find myself having to defend the crazy stuff she's saying. And then when she leaves after getting her pension, waits till she
Right.
has the 5 years in. By the
looting
way,
of the Treasury.
right, I didn't know that you only had to do 5 years in Congress. I would have applied myself better in school. This is
Yeah.
I
how
guarantee your grades and your SAT scores were far better than 90% of people in Congress. It's not a place of intelligentsia. It's a place of psychopaths.
Yeah.
well, maybe I should
There's
have been a
still time.
psychopath. That would have been a darn good pension. And yes, and it's probably too late now. But she's an example where you defend these people and then you find out, what they're really about. And
Mhm.
what you find out is stuff you're like, wait a minute, I wasn't for that. I'm not for that. And you cut them loose or they cut you loose, whatever. But I see that all the time. And I think some of these people on the left, even with the crazy issues that come up, they're still saying they're there. And it's like, wait a minute, how
Mhm.
can you be for that? How, you know, little things, they start changing it, like defund the police. Well, I didn't mean actually defund them. They let them, AOC comes back and says, well, woke one was crazy. Yes, that was you. You were saying that. We were saying you were
Yeah.
crazy
Well,
for
so
5 years.
woke one was crazy. Agreed. What particularly in woke one was crazy that you disavow now? No one
Right.
asks her that
No. Well, that gets
because
into the whole,
nothing's changed.
right.
Mhm.
Woke one, they're just going to change the name and say, okay, they're still for the same things. There's no reporter that asks that, or they can't get nearer. Or, if it's going to be someone on the right, she's not going to
Yeah.
answer their question. She'll walk by. But you're not going to get
Yeah.
MS Now asking her, tell me, you just name all the things. What are you against now? Because she's
Mhm.
for all those things.
I dead name them. I still call them MSNBC.
Yeah.
Tranny news networks are the worst.
Yeah. Tranny news networks. Okay, so there's one more thing I wanted to just briefly talk about. Sorry, I'm keeping you guys late. FBI Director Kash Patel announced that a massive DNA fingerprint backlog has been cleared on August 1st, 2024. The pending DNA backlog consisted of over 1.81 million samples, breaking federal statutory requirements. But thanks to the FBI lab division, that backlog is now at zero. You guys know how I feel about Pam Bondi, and I know she oversaw the FBI. And I do think that the FBI, separate from like the handling of the Epstein blunder, has made significant progress in locating missing children, busting pedophile rings. And this is just one of those other things that they have accomplished that I think is not going to they're not going to get the credit that they deserve for this. Like 1.81 million samples of fingerprint backlogs. I mean, that's amazing.
Is it? I don't know.
I guess I don't know.
I'm not trying to be like a jerk, but what's the so what behind this? How
Well-
so the FBI has done their job.
Uh-huh.
We're amazed and we're happy for them.
Yeah.
What does that do for me as a voter?
I would hope that it would help identify more criminals involved in violent crime and
So I guess
hopefully
you
get
got
them
to
off
tie
the
that into,
streets.
and because of this,
Hmm.
we've arrested X number of people. But then you have to compare that numbers to, well, how many do you normally arrest? I
Yeah.
think the bigger issue for me with the FBI is it shouldn't be a law enforcement agency. It should be merely investigatory, and the marshals conduct the law enforcement. The FBI has proven too dangerous a tool for any administration, and
Hmm.
it's not enough to be happy when it's not being openly tyrannical, because for a brief moment of time it's not under Joe Biden.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to give any flowers to the FBI or Kash Patel. He said he was going to, convert the Hoover building to a museum of a former agency. We'll get
Oh,
on
right.
with it.
Yeah.
FBI should go the way of USAID, in my opinion.
Well, but I do think, there's some, you can tie this back to Biden for one thing. A lot of this came from his reign with immigration. They started
Hmm.
collecting more and more of these samples, but doing nothing because then they would know they're criminals. And that's where the backlog really started. They put no money into actually testing these things. So these illegals that were walking in, I think it was something like 50,000 a month that were being
Yeah.
collected, but not tested because no resources were put towards it. Was that done on purpose? Probably, because we were
Okay,
letting
so that
people.
makes sense.
Yeah,
Now, so if they had addressed this as like, we have cleared the
Yeah.
DNA fingerprints of 2 million immigrants, and now we're going to compare those against crime statistics and criminal databases and things like that. If I had more context, then I would chalk this up as a big win. Thank you, Dennis, for putting the context in there, because I knew nothing other
Yeah.
than the report that they did it. And I'm like, okay.
yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know if that's on Patel or his people that they didn't get that out because I think they framed it wrong. If you know who these
Yeah.
samples are, I think those of us who say kick them all out are say this is great and why wasn't this
Right.
done? It's another example of Biden's incompetence and his team's incompetence.
Yeah. And yeah, so that, I mean, that really does kind of change it and it makes it more
Well,
more
then
of a
it's
story.
a real policy win, other than, hey, look, we did our job.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Because
should do
as
your
you framed
job.
it, Sam, it was, looking for a participation trophy. But as Dennis explains it, well, yeah, this
Mhm.
is a big win, and this is keeping promise to the voters, and this gives me motivation to go out and fight for Republicans to keep the momentum going. So,
Yeah.
to your point, the Trump administration has done a lot of great things. How have they advertised? Certainly, with the hostile press, it makes it difficult, but they could do better.
Yeah.
Like going on your podcast and letting your audience know all the great wins they're doing, that you need to be more tied in with the administration and their spokespeoples.
Yeah, they have to do a
Yeah.
better
I
job
need to
of
be
getting
famous.
that out. And I think they've gotten to the point of realizing the legacy media or whatever you want to call it isn't going to do it for you.
Hmm.
Finally they got that in this administration. I think the last time they were way behind. They were still thinking they could get it done,
Yeah.
but they still have to reach the people. Maybe that's through more podcasts, direct. I mean, even though they might not broadcast Trump when he goes on TV, you can broadcast over the internet. You don't really need NBC or ABC anymore.
Right.
Well, you'll notice the big name podcasters, there's been a huge turn. And I think
Yeah.
that is a deliberate policy, a financial policy, and I think it's a foreign influence policy, where some of these podcasters with a big audience have been very anti-Trump, deliberately so, because that was his mechanism to bypass the mainstream media as an outlet.
Hmm.
I see Joe Rogan being more negative. You see Theo Vaughn coming out of nowhere. Sean Ryan, another
Yeah.
big name. Obviously, Tucker Carlson's got to be lumped in with that. Uh,
Right.
Voices
Yeah,
that would have been predictably pro-Trump in support have totally changed their tune. And I think that's deliberate, and I think it's foreign.
Yeah. I've been wondering that as well, why certain people are changing their tune too.
what do they always say? Follow the money.
Yeah.
Follow
Right.
money.
Hard to with
Yep.
podcasts, though. That's one of the things, is
Yeah.
it's
Well,
a little more nefarious. I think the Trump administration needs to give more money to Sam.
I agree. I think that they should hire me, and
There you go.
I could work in the press pool somewhere. All right, so we can wrap this up for now, and I will definitely have you guys both on. I hope you had fun. It was interesting with you guys both with your different backgrounds to kind of hear you guys talk back and forth. So I think the audience will love it.
Dan, it's a pleasure meeting you. I'd love to talk with you again. Sam, thanks for bringing us on. I really appreciate it.
Of course, yeah. I'll send you guys a group email. That way, you guys have each other's contact if you'd like to.
Great.
Get together, hang out without me. So, all right. Well, we'll start with Paul. Tell everyone where to find you.
War 102 podcast available everywhere. Taliban Safari books available everywhere, and usually it's on sale because no one's buying it. So here's your opportunity. And if you go on and then war102podcast@gmail.com, you can send me an email there. You can link me directly from the Buzzsprout website. Check it out, please.
Dennis?
Yes, I can be found. My website's DennisABrennan.com. Books are available at Amazon. I'm on X. I love Elon, so at Dennis Brennan 61, and also on Facebook, Dennis A. Brennan. I'm not sure how you actually get that, but you put the name in, you find it. And I'm on Truth Social, but I'm truly disappointed with Truth Social. That's another subject someday for one of the podcasts. Yeah. We could talk about Truth Social and how it didn't make it, or is it going to make it?
Yeah. I tried Truth Social and it just didn't. I wasn't getting anywhere after like 2 years, so I'm just like, I'm done with it. But
algorithms.
Algorithms. So I'll make sure to tag you guys both and everything so that everyone can see it when I post the episode, which I will get out tomorrow. And I want to thank you both for being here and for a fun conversation. And I'll see you on the other side of this recording.
Great. Thank you.
All right.